So I've got my little corner. And within that little corner, one of the things that I'm passionate about is a black family empowerment. And as I progress in my conversation or in my talk, you'll probably be able to get a little bit more insight as to why I'm motivated to set up this platform. So welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourselves. And as I was kind of, unpacking my garage and just trying to tidy it up, and I was thinking, maybe Conny's Corner is not to be, not yet, not now. Not yet, I'm not ready. Maybe not. Suddenly, a book fell from the shelf. A book I hadn't seen for the last 15 years fell right in my palms. When I picked up that book, it was a book from my dad. And that book, what every family should know, that's what the book was about. What every family should know, which is what the Black Family Empowerment is about, what every family should know. And it had my dad's writing and his signature. And when my dad sent that book to me, it was at a time in my life, my husband and I, when we were going through a very difficult time. When you get married, you have all these fantasies about how marriage would be and, having immigrated. I actually had the illusion that when you marry, especially those of us who were abroad, that because you're far away from home, your marriage will be the most perfect marriage because you haven't got family around, so you're bound to bond and, just really have that very great connection. But of course, reality sets in, and marriage anywhere in the world is not an easy game. So when you're kind of juggling marriage and juggling immigration and juggling childcare, it's hard. And juggling integration, you're kind of thinking, where am I? Where am I going? You don't really know whether you're coming or you're going. So my dad, I must have had a chat with my dad. I must have cried a number of times. And my dad sent that book all the way from Cameroon to my husband and I. That you need to read this book. It's all about the family. And the book had a lot of information about the importance of children, how to be a parent, how to be a husband, how to be a wife, the psychological impact of what you as parents do on the children. So when that book fell in my hand, I thought, you know what? This is it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There is no way I can't chicken out. I'm not ready. But sometimes you really don't need to be ready. Migration is a complex phenomenon. We have lost so many children. We've lost them to the system. We've lost them to the prisons. We've lost them psychologically in terms of their minds. We've lost quite a lot. We haven't just lost children. We've lost generations of people who've been fighting for our rights. So I suppose this platform is about raising awareness so we can be more purposeful. We can be more aware, because when you are aware, it's more than likely that you will be in a better place to change your trajectory. You're going to be in a better place to do things differently. So my dedication for this platform is to generations of children and families who have, gone the wrong way as a result of the complexities of migration. I've had to learn to sit with the pain. I remember being a black woman and going into therapy. Can you believe a black woman going into therapy? It's an Oyibo thing, right? Therapy. Can you hear me? What will we say in our community? Therapy is not a black man thing. But obviously, I was compelled to go into therapy because I'm doing a doctorate in counseling psychology and psychotherapy. And I was compelled, as part of the program, to go into therapy. And I thought, why? I don't need therapy. I've got everything in my life sorted. So I went into therapy with resistance because I thought I knew everything. And I thought, I think I know who I am. And I realized that with the resistance it delayed my healing. But after a while of being in therapy, I got the hang of it. Things started to shift in my head. And I gradually saw a different kind of me that I really am. I was able to make sense of some of my experiences, certain things that had been subconsciously niggling and nagging and taking me to the places that I didn't really want to be. But knowing those things and actually recognizing that, hey, it's good to know, all right? Just long enough, you look at what you don't want, just long enough to know that, yeah, I want the opposite. And focus your energy in what you really want. Because the tendency for us is to look at what we don't want and let it control our thoughts and everything. So you focus on what you don't want. And if you put energy on anything that you don't want, that's what is going to manifest. It magnetizes that, and it becomes true. So think about looking at it just long enough to know, I want the opposite. And focus your energy in what you want. And believe you me, it comes true. It's so powerful. Back to Conny's Corner, the Black Family Empowerment Hub. Why? Family is a source of human security. I'm sure you would all agree with me. Do you agree with me? I think home is the base. Home is the place where a child develops a sense of who they are. And that is dependent on the relationship that they have with their parents. Isn't that crucial? Absolutely crucial. So home is the base, and family is the key. And what happens when a family struggles? Sadly, things begin to happen. Individuals break, potentially violence, abuse, parents become a little bit impatient with the kids. You see us smacking the kids even more without realizing why we're doing it, It's like having an orange. When you squeeze an orange, what comes out? Juice, right? So if you step on somebody's toes, I'm sure a lot of you would have heard about road rage. Something happens on the highway and somebody loses their temper completely. Do you think it's about what happened? Why they would have lost their temper? They would have had a lot of anger inside them before even that incident. That incident is only a trigger, isn't it? Because when you squeeze an orange, what comes out is what is inside. So you squeeze an angry man, oh my goodness, he erupts. But if you squeeze somebody who hasn't got the anger in them, what comes out? They look at you and they think, okay. Did you see the difference? So when we as parents are under pressure, a lot of things happen. And I think it's really important that we recognize that. So what? So what about the Black Family Empowerment Hub? This platform, the rationale for this platform is to advocate, to work collaboratively with the Afro community to raise an awareness of what we are going through so we can be more purposeful, we can be more conscious in terms of what we do. But also, this platform is working together with a Eurocentric framework to get them to understand where we are coming from. Because as much as we want to kind of try and learn the community where we are, we need some support in terms of people understanding where we're coming from. So it's about integrating, working collaboratively with the Eurocentric systems and the Afrocentric systems for better outcomes for our children, for us as a group, and for generations to come. We know that the complexities of migration have a positive correlation with mental well-being. When you immigrate and you're struggling to integrate in a new community, it's bound to have it's bound to have complex complications, particularly when it comes to mental health. Families, parents coming from a different perspective, raising children who look at life from a Eurocentric perspective. The complexities are huge, and some families do not make it, some children do not make it. But also, what has been particularly salient about my experience, yes, there have been challenges in the sense of being a black woman, a migrant woman, and having to, working in a predominantly Eurocentric framework. The challenges are huge. When you, as a social worker, your manager has a different perspective, and you're not treated with respect because they think, her behavior is different from what we are accustomed to. So because of that, she doesn't fit. I'm not just talking about me. I've seen it happen to many of us. So you have to come in, talk like them, walk like them, sing like them, in order for you to get your message across. But not all the time, because you may be fortunate to find yourself in an environment where people are a little bit open-minded and they're prepared to learn. Black families are more likely to be referred for child protection services, as Debbie already mentioned. I also realized there's a disproportionate overrepresentation of black children in the care system, in the criminal justice system, and in the mental health system. And these are things that have challenged my curiosity and actually pushed me to want to know more and to want to do more for my community. Because when I see myself as a black person, that's not what I see. And to know that there is a lot of statistical information about black people that is so negative, I think we as a community need to know that so that we can think at a more conscious level about what it is that we are doing to contribute to the statistics. I know we are sitting here, right here and talking about it, and it sounds like it's all out there. For me, what is important is that each and every one of us is part of this journey. And it's important that we think introspectively about what it is that we are doing. What is it that we are doing as couples in our relationship that is actually potentially putting our children at risk? So that's the study I did with Anne, and I think it's really important. If you just bring it down a little bit. What came out of these young people? They were 19 to 25. And this was about the experiences of being black children in school. And there were 4 superordinate themes. The first one was the burden of otherness. Just being different from those children was a burden. It was a psychological burden. And as part of that burden, you had the visibility of blackness. The fact that you are in class and you stand out. Something happens from one of most participants, it would always be one of you. And a lot of children, as a result of that, just want to disappear and just be part of the wider group. And as a result of that, they will reject their identity to fit into the wider group. So you had the burden of otherness, you have the challenges of negotiating multiple identities. So, you know, when you're with your friends from the wider community, you want to behave in a certain kind of way so you feel accepted. When you come back home, so it's that juggling of different identities, which psychologically can be a burden. So if your child is in class and having to manage all these complexities, it is bound to have an effect. A lack of cultural awareness, obviously, on the part of the professionals, and support networks. So where children had supportive parents, they were more likely to feel more settled in school. There's something happening in our community. It's a condition that I've labeled as migration blues, a sense of feeling of being here and there but nowhere. Because a lot of us are on transit. We're not really present here because we are thinking we're going to go, but we are not going, we are staying. And because we are not going, we are staying, but we are not here. You can imagine? So it just means we are not present. And the parenting today, it's not like the parenting that we had in our days, where our parents provided shelter and they were gone. Here, it's about relational, having a relationship, doing things with your child, being involved emotionally so you can know when things are changing, when the child needs to talk. And obviously, because we are in a place where we're grappling with the fact that we are migrants, it puts our families at risk. Our relationships are collapsing because we're trying to do things back home, we're trying to build mansions back home, whereas the here and now is not stable. So I think it's something that consciously, if we are kind of more aware of what we're doing, it's not the case where one is recommending that we don't do things back home, but it's more about making sure that the here and now is secure, and you're living the moment, you're enjoying the moment, and you're not just focusing on the past, consumed by the past, or focusing too far into the future. Because when I'm reading all these statistics, all this research information about black families, an average black person doesn't know what is happening. It feels like we're just sleeping and we're just letting life go by and it doesn't concern us. And I think if we are raising children in this part of the world, we need to wake up. There is no two-way about it. We need to be present to understand the system so that we can be there for our children and we can change our profile, because the profile is really not good. I always remind myself that we parents are the conduit through which the characters of children flow. It's written on your bags, your gift bags, because what monkeys see, monkey do. So I think it's really important that we remind ourselves about that, because sometimes we can project our anxieties on our children. But I think it's really important that we parents model. It's not just about telling them what to do, because the kids in this part of the world are very intelligent, and they challenge you. And when you can't give them answers, it becomes a little bit confusing in their heads, because they cannot understand why you're saying A and doing B, or expecting them to do B. So I think it's really important that we know that we are the conduit through which the characters of our children flow. So why are we raising awareness? The reason why we're raising awareness is because what we see, you're looking at me, I'm looking at you, what we see in terms of our interaction is only 10% of who we actually are. A lot of what motivates us, a lot of what is driving us is embedded in the subconscious mind. As you can see, that's an iceberg sitting inside water. So you cannot see the bottom of it, you can only see the top. Just like you and I are interacting, you're interacting with your partner, that's what you see. But what is actually driving us is what is deeply embedded. And what is deeply embedded in there? It's sitting in our subconscious minds. And what is it? Our culture, our belief systems, our experiences, and the things, everything that we internalize in our environment. A lot of us are going around, we're picking up signals, picking up messages, but we do not recognize that these messages are registering in our subconscious mind. And this is what is actually driving us, actually making us who we are. And the key to awareness is being able to stop and think and ask yourself, what is driving me? What is driving you? At a deeper level, you want to be able to reconnect with who you really are, to understand how your belief system, we are here from Cameroon or from different parts of Africa or the Caribbean, and our culture is deeply embedded in us. The voices of our parents are deeply embedded in us. The voices of the people around us, those who would have said, oh, you're good, you're no good, or all the negative things that we internalize in the environment, and also the positive things. That is what is actually driving us. So in terms of awareness, recognizing some of those things that are in you at a subconscious level is what would move us to a different level. So in terms of how the Connyz Corner, the Black Family Empowerment Hub, is trying to raise awareness. First of all, the focus is on parenting, family and parenting matters, aspirational matters, inclusion and well-being matters, because those three issues actually correlate to the issues that we Black families do face. And my approach is simple. It's all about sharing, maximizing the use of social media, through which you can communicate through blogs. So if you have something to share, we can share that on the blogging system, which I've got, which I'll put up later, www.connyzcorner.com. And you can share your perspective. You may be an expert in your field, or you may have had an experience and you want to share. You can share that on the blog, and other people can participate. Also, I've got a YouTube channel where I'm going to be talking about topical issues, which means I could pick something that is prevalent within our families. It could be physical, beating children, and share some of the strategies that I've learned, share some of my own personal experiences in terms of the mistakes that I've made. And through watching that, you may be inspired and empowered, because where I am today is because I have found myself in many different places where people have said certain things and it resonated with me. So sharing, I think, is very important. And also discussion panels, like one which we're going to be having shortly. When you hear people talking, it resonates and it causes a shift in your mind. And live events and short documentary films about specific topics.